And absolutely, like the animation, like the best animations in this film are the most subtle ones. And that's something that I think Miyazaki, as an artist, especially an animation artist, that's something he's always thrived on, is just the most subtle animations being the most fluid.
Drive-by movies here. My name is James.
My name's Blaze.
And never have I ever seen My Neighbor Totoro.
From world-renowned master animation director Hayao Miyazaki. An animated adventure for children of all ages. My Neighbor Totoro.
When two girls move to the country to be near their ailing mother, they have adventures with the wondrous forest spirits who live nearby. So this is one of those classic animation movies. If you like anime, sorry, I almost said anime. I meant to say animation, but I also will say anime. If you like any of that stuff and you haven't seen My Neighbor Totoro, go check it out. Honestly, this is like one of those classic movies. And speaking about someone who hadn't seen it till now, James, what'd you think of this movie?
Yeah, I don't know how this one slipped the cracks of mine, just because when I used to work for Hot Topic, like this was one of the top sellers that we had there. T-shirts, plush, keychains, like, you know, so many things, like even chopsticks we sold. It was nonstop. So many people bought My Neighbor Totoro things, and I always thought it was cute and stuff. I always knew about this movie. My first introduction to Miyazaki, of course, was Spirited Away. I remember that movie. Pretty sure it won like best animation film of the year it came out. My favorite though is Princess Mononoke. I've seen other ones too. I've seen Ponyo. I've also seen Howl's Moving Castle, but just My Neighbor Totoro, one of his most popular ones, I just never got around to seeing. And so I'm really stoked that I finally got a chance to see it. And I was kind of like that what's it called, synopsis you just said, like moving into a new home and stuff. And, you know, with other Miyazaki tropes I've seen, like regardless of like Ponyo, that's a very lighthearted movie, but like after seeing Spirited Away or like Princess Mononoke, I was waiting for that dark turn to happen, especially with them moving into a new place. It never happens. It's just a sweet, cute movie, and that's pretty much all it is. Like I really liked it. It's just a sweet, feel good, happy movie, and I enjoyed it. But the whole movie, I was waiting for Totoro to just eat someone the whole time and stuff. I was expecting him to turn evil and just like eat one of them little girls. And there were a couple times like, oh God, he's gonna eat her, when the little girl goes missing, like during the, like, you know, climax of the movie too. I was just like, did Totoro eat her? No, nothing like that happened though. Yeah.
Well, this movie definitely isn't dark. It has a lot of serious tones though. So that is the thing I think this is like kind of where Miyazaki was finding his style. This is his most personal film. I think it was his mother did have an illness when he was a young boy, and him and his brother. This is kind of a very, very personal movie that he's like reaching into his own personal life, and like maybe it was his own childhood imagination that kind of, you know, gave light to experiences that were, you know, somewhat dark when you're not really sure about your mother's health, and, you know, there's kind of serious matters that are happening, and you just have this imagination that can kind of take you to another special place where you can kind of forget about those things. I think that's what really makes this movie so special, and like this movie is just such a like human movie to make you really think about how special it is being like a child that can be so lighthearted even in the darkest of times. So that's really, I think, the most that I like rewatching this film. I had seen this film so long ago. It was like really made it special, like kind of rewatching and thinking about all those things of like how kind of special, I guess, children are essentially. Like they can really look past some of you know, the darkest times, even with just an imaginary friend.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that like spirits were kind of like involved again. I remember like the dad explained like, oh, you probably saw like a forest spirit or something like that. We watched it on HBO Max, so I excuse us, like I don't know if people prefer if we got to watch like the Japanese subtitled version. Normally that's what I would have migrated towards as well too. I usually prefer watching that, but I really enjoyed listening. I didn't realize like Elle Fanning and Dakota Fanning were going to be the lead characters within this movie, and it's cool to see that two, you know, actual sisters who are the right age playing kind of, you know, this within animation. One thing I appreciated my first time seeing Spirited Away, now I usually watch the Japanese version, but I originally saw the English dub that Disney re-released and stuff, and like they always really pick a great voice cast for Miyazaki films. Like I remember with I forgot the last Miyazaki movie that came out, it was like an airplane movie, I remember, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt was the lead character with that. Like they always cast his movies so well and stuff, and Christian Bale and Howl's Moving Castle, like, you know, they go all out for his movies and they're well deserved and stuff, and that's definitely the case with this one. So I was glad that was still the first way I got to watch it, but let us know definitely if you'd prefer for us to check out the Japanese version. If it makes a huge difference by any means, like definitely we'll check it out. But I really love the use of, like, you know, vibrant colors. Of course, that's like what Miyazaki is known for, and the bizarre creatures. Like the cat bus was definitely something out of a fever dream that, like, I really loved. I was like, I want to go on a roller coaster with a cat bus, like, as the cart now so badly.
I think that you can make that dream a reality, actually. At least I know that they were trying to build, like, there is a kind of Miyazaki, like, kind of, like, museum, and I think they're trying to build, like, a theme park kind of in that same... I'm pretty sure, or it was like they were trying to do it, like make a roller coaster at Universal Japan.
I was gonna say, like, I was wondering if there was like a Miyazaki land somewhere like in Japan, at like whether it's Disneyland or Universal Studios. Like that's something I'd love to see, you know. There's so many different moments where, like, easily you can make a cat bus ride or something, and then Spirited Away, there's so many flying moments with the dragon in that movie, and then also even that staircase scene. Like, I think everyone remembers a steep staircase that's like has a huge drop. Like you can figure out a ride with some kind of thing like that and stuff. And yeah, like I just love that, like, kind of aspect and stuff, like just how bizarre, like, I don't know how Miyazaki comes up with these, like, kind of images within his head and just, like, brings them into life with this animation and stuff. And it's so pretty to look at, and just finding out that this was, like, you know, being worked on during the 80s and stuff, like, is so crazy to, like, see and stuff. And I just love that, and just, like, it still holds up easily. Like a lot of 80s movies don't hold up, but, you know, this late 80s, early 90s movie, like, easily holds up and is still, like, a huge cultural phenomenon. I'm so glad I finally got a chance to see it.
Yeah, I have to say my favorite Miyazaki movie is Spirited Away. I think because it's just so fantastic. It is essentially this kind of like Alice in Wonderland-esque story. But I did really appreciate rewatching this movie because it just makes me realize how subtle this kind of like story is, how subtle the script is. And essentially, this movie is like, if you're to show someone, it's the more realistic version. I think Spirited Away is absolutely fantastic, but at the same time, this would be the more realistic kind of. It is very fantasy like inspired, but it's just a more realistic movie because you could kind of explain all the fantastic elements as just being, you know, the children's imaginations. So this is kind of like that masterpiece movie when you look at all Miyazaki's films. Like, I personally like Spirited Away more because it's like just so wild, but this is that just absolute Miyazaki masterpiece. There's a reason that this film, like, and Totoro is just such a cultural icon. I mean, he even appeared in Toy Story 3 because John Lasseter, like, loved that character so much.
Really? Now I kind of want to rewatch that. I assume it's somewhere within the daycare scene.
He's one of the toys. I don't know if it's like in the daycare. I just know there was some part of the movie where there's a Totoro like toy just in it, and he even has like Totoro-isms, I guess you could say. His mouth like opening.
Yeah, I believe it, just because Blaze and I, even though we both live in LA, we're both from San Diego, so we would go to San Diego Comic-Con, and we're lucky to see Miyazaki in person. Like, you know, we're in the same room in Hall H, where thousands of other people are in the room with us, but we got to see him do a panel for Ponyo, and just like, I remember every time we went, like Pixar and Disney, they would host the panel, and they would just nonstop, like, keep saying how much they love Miyazaki and like they worship him and they're so inspired by his work and stuff. And it shows a lot within like the Pixar movies as well, I'd say too. Like Miyazaki is just one of the most imaginative people that's out there, and I love that Pixar, like, even though they don't make like the best movies, like they're always very satisfying movies, and I do like how grand and like different and bizarre they like come up with these wild ideas and stuff. And I'm glad that there's someone like Miyazaki that helps, like, you know, set that up for them.
Definitely. And I have to say, just rewatching this made me appreciate how subtle this movie could be, whether like just the story, the script, and absolutely like the animation. Like the best animations in this film are the most subtle ones, and that's something that I think Miyazaki as an artist, especially an animation artist, that's something he's always thrived on, is just the most subtle animations being the most fluid.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm definitely recommending it. Like, I loved it. If you haven't gotten around to seeing this movie, it's, you know, it's known out there. I feel like most people at least know about this movie or have heard of this movie, but if you haven't seen it, definitely recommend checking it out. I'm definitely going to become one of those people, and probably going to buy a Totoro plush now. It was too cute, and I definitely want him on my bed set somewhere. But yeah, movies on HBO Max, but you can also rent it through our Amazon affiliate link in our description box below. That's a great way to help us out. After doing that, leave a comment letting us know what you thought about the movie. Also, let us know if we should watch the Japanese version as well, too. That's definitely something I do want to do down the road eventually, but for my second watch, I'd say, too. But yeah, do that.
Yeah, and if you haven't already, guys, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
Can't get enough of Drive-By Movies also. We are on Instagram and Twitter. Our links and usernames are on the bottom of this video. Be sure to check those out. And that's going to conclude this week's episode. Never Have I Ever. Tune in next week for a brand new video.